Hey guys, welcome back to part 2 of the TKX swap. Now, we've measured the offset of the dowels, we know what we needed. We've got them now, they've arrived in from Summit Racing. These are the old dowels, and we just got to get those out. Now that can be a bit challenging because they're in there tight, but we will show you how to do that next. We're applying a bit of heat to the block just to warm things up, try and make it a little bit easier to get out. Now, you've got to get that fairly hot, which we have. Then we hit it with a little bit of freeze spray. This makes it really cold, it actually freezes the dowel. And then grab it onto it with your vice grips. Out it comes. Now, we have had a couple of goes at doing that. You don't want to see us try it 2 or 3 times, but you'll get there. It's they're stubborn, they can be. But it's out now, we can put the new ones in. So we've got our offset dowels in place now, got the bell housing back on, the DTI set up, and the beauty with the new dowels, the offset dowels, is that you can actually rotate them with a little Allen key like this. So, and that allows you to run, like move the bell housing around in an eccentric fashion on the dowels, and you can just get it into its sweet spot, which we've got it now. We've got like 0, 0, 3 and 3. So 3 is within the 5 thou tolerance given to us by Tremec. So they'll be happy, you'll be happy, everyone will be happy. We've got the bell housing all tightened down. You'll notice we've got the clutch and pressure plate in here now. What we have to do is make some measurements because we've got a hydraulic, like a center mounted hydraulic release bearing that's going to operate the clutch, and we have to make sure that that is spaced correctly, that it's not going to rub on these fingers. We need a little bit of clearance between the fingers and the release bearing. So what I've got to do is measure from this bell housing face down to the fingers. Now here's a neat little trick for you. We use a straight edge to measure. Now if you've got a nice little digital caliper, what you can do is actually measure the width of, like, bring it down on your ruler, 0 it. All right, so that's your new 0. That way, when you're measuring, you can measure from that side of the ruler and you actually get the real number that you need. So what I'm going to do is pop that up there, run this down onto the actual finger of the pressure plate, which is there. And we have 3.90. So what we have to do, that's our measurement A. We have to go over and measure the transmission and the bearing, see what that is. Hopefully what we're looking for is probably about 3.7 something. We need to be in that 200 thou to 100 thou range clearance. So let's do that. This is the little hydraulic clutch that American Powertrain supplies. Great little unit, but this is the second stage of the measuring. We have to make sure this is going to be the right distance from the pressure plate when everything's all stacked up. So what we have to do is we hold a little straight edge across here, zoom this out, and we have to measure back to the transmission face. So that's just a matter of sliding this into here. Yep. So that gives us 3.467. So we subtract that from the first measurement that we took off the actual bell housing and where the pressure plate is in there. We subtract this number from that number, and that gives us like our discrepancy. And then what we have to do is shim this forward, because at the moment the gap is too big. This is too far away from the pressure plate. So what you have to do is slide this off. You get a selection of shims that come with the kit. Slide those on there. Put your release bearing back and remeasure. So you just same deal, straight edge, measure it. What you're looking for is somewhere between 100 thou and 200 thou clearance between this face on the release bearing and the forks, the multiple fingers on the pressure plate itself. So that's just a matter of measuring, adding shims, measuring again, just check, recheck, double check your recheck, and that way you only have to put it back in the car once, which that's the best way. So I'm going to carry on doing a bit of that math, and we'll be back in a minute. Right, we've shimmed the release bearing. We've put 4 release bearing shims in it. That's given us a new measurement of 3.710. Now, the bell housing measurement was 3.907, which is your A measurement, B measurement, subtract B from A, that gives you your 197 here. That is bang on. We're looking for between 100 to 200. We're just under 2. That's about, I'd like to be a little more generous. I found it works better, so I'm happy with that. Now, the main reason for all this measuring and fussing, to try and explain it simply, is that if we have too much clearance here between the pressure plate and here, this just won't reach it. It won't disengage the clutch properly. So that's why you add the shims, and that puts it closer. Now, of course, if you have too many shims, it'll be too close to the pressure plate, and it will never, and it'll always touch, and it will never engage fully, which is not going to work. So it's a little bit of messing around. It's just part of what you have to do, and then you fit it and you forget it. Well, here it is, the TKX in the hole, slipped in there just nicely. Clutch has got just the right amount of clearance. The shifter's going through the shifter hole nicely, all lining up. Really, it's a really nice fit. The kit is working well so far. So we're going to keep going, put in the cross member, get a drive shaft coming from PST, and just wrap up all those little fine details that, you know, it's all just part of the job. So we'll get on going on that and come back to you with part 3. See you guys.